Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagwan Ki. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 12. I have my glasses. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva.
Yukta karma phalam tyaktva.
Shanti mapnoti naishtiki.
Shanti mapnoti naishtiki.
Ayukta karma karena.
Ayukta karma karena.
Phale sakto nibadhyate.
Phale sakto nibadhyate.
Translation: offering the results of all activities to God, karma yogis attain everlasting peace, whereas those who, being impelled by their desires, work with a selfish motive, become entangled because they are attached to the fruits of their actions. Now, Sri Krishna said in the previous verse that the karma yogis offer the fruits to God. They do works, but they are not entangled. Now, why is it that everybody is doing works? Some are entangled, some are not. The difference is in the inner attitudes. Work is done with our body, mind, and intellect. And attitude are the sentiments we harbor within. One apprentice truck driver was getting training from a senior. They went on a ride, a long distance one. And the apprentice got tired after 5 hours. He handed it over to his teacher. The senior truck driver casually drove for the next 10 hours. The apprentice was impressed and said, "You don't get exhausted in driving. What is your secret?" So the senior said, "When you leave home for driving, what do you tell your boss?" He said, "I tell her I'm going to drive my truck." The senior said, "That is the difference. When I leave home, I tell my wife I'm going for a ride to the countryside." Difference is in the attitude. He's saying, I'm going to enjoy the countryside. For you it is labor, for me it is play. So in doing works, there are different attitudes. The difference that Sri Krishna is pointing to is whether your work is selfish or selfless. As we discussed, when you are selfish, you are bound in the consequences of the karmas. And when you are doing it selflessly, you are doing it for His sake. So you are free from the karmas. Not only that, you are also free from tension and anxiety. Like there is that smart saying, no God, no peace, no God, no peace. The first is N-O. No God, no peace, N-O. The second is K-N-O-W. No God, no peace. So how do you know peace? Because you say, I'm doing it for His sake. The first time I started preaching, and I made a satsangi. And I took that lady to Maharaj. Maharajji engaged her in chanda. Chanda means doing collections. So there was a project going on in the ashram, which he said, you go out and collect. She was along with the senior collector. They both used to, that was their seva. They would go out and do chanda. It is very purifying seva for anybody who's done it. Now we have a walk for education and healthcare going on. Some of our devotees, they go out and do this chanda. That lady, she was relating her experience to me. She said, Swamiji, once, from morning, we went to 27 houses, people and offices, and everybody kept refusing. So we were so demoralized. How atrocious. And naturally people engage in negative self-talk. मैं तो किसी काम की नहीं हूँ, मुझसे तो कभी नहीं होगा, Guruji's grace is not on me, how terrible, nobody responds, I don't know how to speak. So they gave a call to Maharaj. Now this is before the mobiles came, you had to actually do a line call, and he would pick up that time his satsang was also small. This, Maharajji, we went to 27 people and they all have refused since morning. Maharajji started laughing. And they thought, we're giving such a bad news and he's laughing. In any case, the conversation was over. Then they said that if he is feeling happy about that 27 people refused, then why should we feel sad about it? And then they realized that his purpose is that we get purified in this effort. And when people are refusing, that is what is purifying us. He is having a hearty time, that our hearts are getting purified. Then there is no reason for us to feel bad. If you do your karma in that spirit, then you have a gala time. It's not that you don't do karma. If somebody says, Swamiji, should I try to become a millionaire? Go ahead, do it just because it will purify you in the process. Not because you need the million and this will ensure your cruise to the Mediterranean. But you're doing it as an offering. Ho gaya to theek, nahi hua to theek. When you know God, means when you're doing it for the sake of God, then you automatically become peaceful. So, on the other hand, are those who do their works to themselves. So they offer their works to themselves. That is what every worldly person is doing. Now in that case, then they have to pay for the consequences of their karmas. One doctor, he rang up the patient and he said, I need to tell you your check has bounced. The patient said, Doctor, I also need to tell you the fever has come back. So if God says, look, if you are on your own, if you are not surrendered to me, I have this rule. I bestow justice. Karma pradhan vishva kari rakha, jo jas karai so tas phalu jaka. And if you choose to surrender to me, then the rule changes. Now the rule of grace comes in. And by that grace, not only do I free you from sin, I also endow you with my divine energies, my divine powers. You become the recipient of my grace, my bliss, my divine love, and you start experiencing that peace which we all want. Next verse. 13. Sarva karmani manasa.
Sarva karmani manasa.
Sanyasyaste sukham vashi.
Sanyasyaste sukham vashi.
Navadvare pure dehi.
Navadvare pure dehi.
Naiva The embodied beings who are self-controlled and detached reside happily in the city of 9 gates, free from thoughts that they are the doers or the cause of anything. Now those purified souls, Sri Krishna relates what is their state. So he's talking about the city of 9 gates. In the Vedas, he has talked about Dahar Vidya. Atha Yadidam Daharam Pundarikam Veshva Dahrosmin Nantarakashas Tasmin Yadantas Tadan Veshtavyam. He says that there is a city. In the city is a house. In the house, there's a courtyard. Within the courtyard is a secret. One who knows that secret knows everything that is to be known. The city he talks about is the body. The house in the body is the heart. And the courtyard is the space of the heart. And in that resides Bhagavan. So one who knows that Brahma, he knows everything that is to be known. Now here he is giving a similar analogy. He is saying that there is a city with 9 gates. And this is our body. It has got the Navadwar. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, mouth, anus, genitals. 9 gates to this body. Now the purified soul resides in the body like we all do. But the difference is we are identified with the body. That is not so serious. Even more serious is we are identified with the mind, and we are identified with the intellect, and we are identified with the ego. And hence we are in this bound state. Now the mind is not us. The mind is a mischievous monkey. And this mischievous monkey called the mind is throwing up thoughts. It has an algorithm of its own. Sometimes it says, I am so happy, I am so blessed to be in Swamiji's retreat. And then after a few moments it says, oh, but I had these other options, this was not the only thing I could have done, maybe I made a wrong choice. So this is all being thrown up by the mind, not by the soul. The mischievous monkey called the mind is throwing up these thoughts. That is its job. And we, the souls, the mistake we are making is we are identifying with these thoughts. And that is why we are saying, now I am inspired, now I am not inspired. Now again I am inspired, now again I am not inspired. Based upon the state of the mind. But the realized souls, they create a distance between the mind and themselves. And seeing that mind as separate from them, they can understand, oh, at this moment the mind is trying to seduce me with a not so wholesome thought, with a non-beneficial, detrimental thought. It is my choice. Whether I accept it or I don't, I choose not to. Now the moment you dissociate yourself from the thought, it loses its power. So the thoughts, they do come in all kinds. There is no limit to the kinds of negative thoughts. And then, if we see them as a part of us, they grip us. Like one lady, she came to me. She said, Swamiji, my brother died of cancer a few months ago. First she said, I'm in depression. I'm so sorry. So she said, my brother died of cancer 5 months ago. I said, really? So is that the reason for your depression? No. That is all right. I have released that. The problem is, I have started thinking that I will also get cancer. And then I heard in your mind management that if we think some thoughts again, we attract those circumstances to our life. So here I am thinking I will get cancer, I will get cancer. And I am just thinking that will attract it to my life. So I am really and seriously worried. Now what is the mistake the lady is making? The mistake is she's attributing those thoughts to herself. I am thinking like this, oh. Now the next moment I'm thinking like, oh. That's not the way to do it. The moment you adopt the thought, moment you see yourself as the source of it, it becomes energized. And then it becomes stronger and comes to you again, and then it comes to you again, until it starts creating a new neural pathway. And you feel that you are in the grip of this negative chintan. Now, we realize that some of these thoughts, they don't align with our goals, or they may not even align with our values. They may be immoral. So when people have those thoughts, why am I thinking like this? And the moment they start doing that, they have energized the thought. That's exactly what the thought wanted. The power. And you have empowered it. Now instead, a more enlightened way is, oh, okay, a thought has come. I'm not interested. Like the birds fly in the sky, they just fly away. One moment here, the second moment they are gone. It's not that you have to chase every bird that comes. It is the same with these thoughts. That freedom comes from self-knowledge when you deeply contemplate the fact that you are not your mind. You are the seer of the mind, the soul. That monkey mind can work to your benefit. It can work to your detriment. So it is for you to train it the way you want. Now supposing you are in the dark and a stranger accosts you all of a sudden. You see this big hulky guy. You have two options, either to run from there or to attempt to fight him, because you know that he is going to mug. So you have to either fight this danger or run away from it. But supposing you're walking on the street and little children start heckling you. So is it advisable to fight them? No, because they will only be provoked. Is it advisable to run? No, because they'll run after you. So in this case, the advisable thing is to ignore them. They'll say, you know, we teased him, maja nahi aaya, let's tease the next guy. Likewise, moment you accept the thought as your own, that thought gains an energy. And the moment you distance yourself from it, it loses its energy. That is the basis of the Sakshi Bhav. Sakshi Bhav is witness consciousness. So in Sakshi Bhav, the self-realized sages, they surf the emotions and sensations in the body. They can even surf the pains in the body. Surfing means they just surf it. That is why their ability to tolerate pains, because they see the pain is coming and they say, okay, it is coming, but I distance myself from it. That same Sakshi Bhav has become popular in the Western world in a diluted form as mindfulness. So in mindfulness, this knowledge is not there in the mix that I am the soul. But the concept is given of watching your thoughts. So the intellectuals, the academicians, the scholars, they find this a very convenient philosophy. There is no need to believe in either the soul or in God, no need to have any kind of faith. And yet you have this powerful tool for mind management. mindfulness. When it's in original form in the Vedas, it is the witness consciousness. The Sri Krishna is saying the same here. He says, Arjun, the self-realized souls, they stay in this body and they remain in witness consciousness. So they are able to retain their elevated state of thoughts and consciousness.